I work for an organization called Prajayatna. Prajayatna has been looking at educational reforms at a systemic level. So we basically are looking at how do we work with the system to bring in changes in the learning environment and assessment practices. Kalikayatna is basically an approach to learning where learning is redefined as capability building. So if you have to build capabilities in children, whatever it takes, in terms of, maybe it is in terms of understanding a child first, understanding his learning style, and looking at what is a relevant environment, meaningful content for him, and how do we know that he's learning, he's truly building his capabilities. So it's a very inclusive approach. Assessment is the key aspect of the whole program, because we believe that what is assessed is what is going to be taught in the classroom. So we don't want to have differentiations of subject or grouping subjects as curricular or co-curricular. So we're not really looking at only the content of certain subjects. We are looking at the capabilities. So that calls for a system which is very formative. We are basically looking at the whole public education system. So we are not looking at creating some islands of excellence, as just one experimental place where things are happening. We're trying to understand that what are those systemic issues which are coming in the way of a child developing his capabilities. I just want to clarify what Kalikayatna is not. It's not a technique or methodology. It's not a methodology like Montessori method or this method or that method. It's just an approach which has certain beliefs and certain principles that govern it, but it's an approach that supports a child to reach his or her outcomes. It is not about evaluating students based on norms or standards, but it is of profiling capabilities. So we understand the term comprehensive like that. CC came now, but from the time we began our Kalikayatna project, we have been looking at seeing the child as a complete individual, very comprehensively. What are his interests? What are his inclinations? What are the things that he does faster and does repeatedly? Things like that. So we want to look at profiling what the child is good. It does not restrict content to textbooks or fixed information, but it allows for constructing knowledge. In fact, at the CRC level, we have developed a cluster resource directory. So we have made a complete directory which has, even if there is a flour mill in the village, or if there is maybe somebody has a weaving thing happening in their house, or somebody has cows that they are attending in their homes, then we put everything as a resource in the directory. So the teacher can use that whenever it is appropriate to the lesson. She can go take the children there, send the children in groups, and have an actual experience of that, and come back and share the experience in the class. So in those terms, we have evolved certain key areas that we have to address. So one of that is the concept facilitation. So if we have a very integrated curriculum, we don't have subjects like maths, English, science, social studies. It's an integrated curriculum, and how we transact the curriculum in the classroom is through concept facilitation. So the concept will include all processes and the content from all the subjects. So we look at the whole thing in a very integrated way. For example, if you are looking at house is a concept, and we have the maths element of area of a house and number of rooms, things like that, and we have science element of what materials are used and those kind of things. We have a social studies aspect of whatever you need to understand the whole concept of house. That's how it is done. So we don't have differentiation of subjects, and we also try to have a mixed age group where we are saying what is the rationale behind dividing children according to ages and classes. They're all, in different phases of learning. So class 1 to 5 for us is just, all class 1, 2, 3 will sit together. So this facilitates a lot of peer learning. The various tools that we have is the ongoing portfolio. We have one box file where everything that a child does in the class is there, and we were talking of huge numbers. One of the participant here was mentioning, in a class of 60, how does a teacher do? So most of the schools that we are working has a strength similar. Some schools have less strength, but on an average, if you see minimum 45 students, you can take that as an average. So we say you don't have to look at the child's work every day. Even if you look at 5 children per day, during the whole semester, you have enough time to look at the child's file, see and interact with the child and write remarks. So we are not looking at teacher writing remark on every sheet of the portfolio. So if you look at the child's portfolio, if you visit our schools, not every page will have a teacher's correction also. Sometimes a peer would have written some remark. Like yesterday when we had some guests visiting our school, saying there was an oral feedback session happening where if a child is making a presentation, the peer feedback is happening. You are not loud enough to be heard by everybody. And those things immediately they get. And we have concept maps and other activity worksheets which are filed in the portfolio. And from this portfolio, and we have another teacher observation book. Using these two main tools, what we do is we create the profile of the child. Now, there are two things, portfolio and the teacher's observation diary. In the observation diary, which is a printed book that we have prepared for the teacher, there is one sheet assigned for every child. And there are a list of things which are process skills, which cannot be observed or looked into through the portfolio. Like the typical writing skills, or whether he can do the mathematical sums. These procedural skills can definitely be assessed when you look at the portfolio of the child. But there are certain things, how did he read? What are his spoken abilities? What is his communication skill? What is his attitude towards the peers? How is his behavior when he's working in the group? Or how does he respond to the teacher? These things, which we consider as processing skills, we have the teacher's observation diary. So what the teacher does, like one of our participants was sharing here, how do you actually use that gut feeling of the teacher, her own observations about the child, how do you record that? So we tell her that at least about 5 children per week. Can you make a descriptive thing based on that? So at least over the month, you can cover all your students. But we also have a paper pencil test. But this is not administered like on March 22nd, all of you will have English test. Not on those terms. But we say, when you feel during the individual practice time, I think I must mention here how we actually go about. In our Kalika Yatna classrooms, you will find different kinds of processes. We have a whole group process. We have a learner group process, which is working in smaller groups. Then we have individual practice time, where they are looking at a lot of their procedural skills, practicing their procedural skills. So during these processes, it is very easy to find out which child is ready for testing on a particular skill. So if you feel during that month, the teacher would have decided these 6-7 concepts would be dealt and these skills will be dealt during the month. If a teacher feels the child is ready, then she can administer that paper pencil test to that particular child during the individual practice time. And that will also be part of the child's portfolio. So using these paper pencil tests and the regular work, we report on we track the movement of the child in that particular skill. Basically, the rationale of the whole Kalika Yatna initiative is that we have to relook at learning as helping a child identify his own innate abilities, and also that these learning outcomes are something that all the stakeholders are involved in setting up what is it that a child actually has to learn. So in terms of, I mean, if you look at these two important elements of the program, then we would say that if parents, the department, as well as the child, and of course the teacher, all of them are there as a team to help a child develop his own innate abilities, we would say things are moving as it should. And we are not looking at the impact in terms of what has been the adherence of the program to what we had developed. It's more in terms of what is the learning outcome at the end of the whole thing. So learning outcome in terms of, we have certain outcomes in terms of how the community should be responding towards, taking ownership towards the whole system of education. So what has been the outcome in our community processes, what has been the outcome in how much we are able to really help a child identify his own strengths and build on his natural abilities to learn. So that's what we basically, that would determine our impact.